Now we spoke about you being a Latino judge in Orange County. What's some of the adversities that you have faced being Latino, whether it's being the judge, having your own firm, or just being Latino and coming in and coming into to a courtroom? You understand what I'm saying? Because, you're handsome.
Thank you, brother.
You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure that you command the room when you go inside the courtroom. I'm pretty sure that the jurors lock into whatever you say. What are some of the adversities that you be facing?
Oh, I definitely have had my fair share of experiences. I mean, you mentioned becoming a judge. To become a judge, I had to, go out there and get votes. I was knocking on hundreds upon hundreds of doors, and sometimes the people that would answer the door
don't look like
they didn't look. They weren't too fond,
Mm-hmm.
About who's this young Spanish Latino guy coming up from the city. But I didn't let it faze me. In fact, I would bring my son with me sometimes because I wanted him to experience what Dad was going through, or other family members. They would help me. But it was what it was. I didn't sit at home complaining and crying about it. I knew what the circumstances were, and it was my choice. I had to make a decision. Do I want to make a difference or not? It was that simple. But even just to flip it, as a private attorney, when I first started practicing up in Orange County, I always had my practice in the Bronx. I opened up a second office at that time in Orange County. I remember going into the courtroom, and I would get like stupid comments from judges, like, Mr. Santana, you're not in the Bronx anymore. Like literally, I've had a judge tell me that before, and I would say, you know what, Judge, but with all due respect, the rules of law still apply to your courtroom. And the laws in the Bronx are the same laws they are here in your courtroom. And when I started to earn their respect, not that I should have had to earn their respect.
And this was New York State, right?
This was New York State.
Okay,
right?
Yeah, it's New York, yeah.
But when things started to change was when they started to see how much of a beast I was in the courtroom in terms of how I handled myself. And so I knew the law, I had the skills. You mentioned confidence. That's how I am when I walk into a courtroom. I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for my client, And when they saw that, more and more, they started to realize this is a man we need to respect. And so sometimes you start out as adversaries, and slowly but surely, in some instances, the relationship starts to change, and it becomes a mutual understanding.
That's key. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You may not necessarily like the person
You
on a
gonna respect
personal
me,
level, but you're going to respect me.
Yeah.
And as a judge, robe or no robe, my level of respect for you is going to be matched by the level of respect you're giving me. I mean, one of the most recent trials I had, I still practice a lot up in Orange County, but one of the most recent trials I had, and this is no exaggeration, I was literally in a shouting match with the judge in chambers. So to the extent that the court officer had to come into the chambers and say, can you guys please keep your voices down? The jury can hear. Now, did I want the jury to hear? No. But there is no judge I'm going to allow disrespect me. It's just not happening. And I've had that happen several times. Battling judges who are only interested in having my clients take a plea. I'm not that guy. If my client chooses to take a plea, that's on him or her, right? But I'm not the kind of attorney to go into courtroom and just try to get my guy or girl to take a quick plea. That's not my style.
That's happening right now. That's why I hit you before you pulled up. That's happening right now every day, bro, in the A$AP Rocky trial. Like, he has to be a rep. Like, the way they going at it, and that it's just wild. And the judge is every 10 minutes, he's like, stop. This is a no squad. Like, what do you? Yeah. But the prosecutor's going hard. Like you said, like, yo, this is the law though. This homeboy's bugging. Like, he's having a field day in your courtroom. Like, regulate, check him.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like, if you're not firm on yours, they get away with it. And we all, like, I mean,
Absolutely.
they don't know, but I know that all judges were like former prosecutors. So they always side with the prosecution. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like, when the prosecution don't get their way, they start acting fidgety. Like, you know what I'm saying? They feel entitled.
Oh yeah.
And then when you got a good defense attorney that's on his 1 and 2s, that's when it becomes a real sparring, like a 100%. War.
Sometimes it feels like there's 2 prosecutors I'm up against.
Word.
Me, going against the judge and the prosecutor.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes the decisions are so outrageous, but you have to maintain your cool, especially if it's in front of the jury.
So I'm gonna tell you a funny story. The way I learned this, because when I first caught my case, like this was 25 years ago. But you know, I didn't know law. I'm just a young kid from the projects. I got myself in trouble. I know how to hide my peoples. I said, yo, I need the best lawyer. I got him.
Right.
Crazy recommendations. Long story short, he's beef. Him and the judge got beef. And I'm like, yo, bro, like, again, I don't know nothing. Like, so that's my first case.
Right.
And, you know, we walk out the courtroom. I'm like, yo, I gotta holler at you, bro. Like, you pissing this nigga off, bro. Like, but my life isn't. And he told me straight up, but like, fuck that nigga. I don't give a fuck about him at all. We going to trial. You know who I got to sell? The jury. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know none of this. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the first time I caught a case. I don't know what's going on. I don't know this language. Right. I don't know nothing, bro. But all I know is that, bro, y'all just keep fighting. He's yelling at you. You yelling at him. And I'm like, I was ready to fire him.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, yo, bro, but that was his passion. Now that I understand how this works, like you said, I'm not letting nobody violate me.
Yeah. I will say this, though. That has to be done in good taste.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to take it to the extent that now you're completely on the judge's bad side and all the rulings are going to be against you.
Against you, yeah.
There has to be a balance, right? There's balance in everything. Just like, I mean, we can agree that sometimes clients are just unrealistic. And they think, well, I paid a private attorney. That means I'm going to get guaranteed results. And I just shot and killed someone. How come I can't get probation? Yeah. You know
crazy,
what I mean?
Crazy request.
Like ridiculous. You know what I mean? So I just say there always has to be balance. You know, but I'd rather have an attorney that's passionate about representing me than not.
Oh yeah, like now, I get it because again I learned and I had to learn the hard way.
Right.
But again, if you don't know this. You're just blindfolded about what's going on in that courtroom because you don't understand. Right. You know, the average person that winds up in the courtroom, in their mind, the judge is God.
Right.
He's the controller. He has the power. The black robe is intimidating. Right. He's telling you when you could go, when you could come, all of this crazy, wild shit. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But now that I know how it works, and it's like, may the best actor win.
Pretty much.
Whoever sells the jury.
Right.
And, you know, once he told me that, he goes... He's whatever. I got to speak to these 12 people when we start plucking them. Don't worry. And when I seen him do, I was like, wow, it's all an act.
Yeah,
it's all how you sell the story.
Right. Yeah, and I tell people, it's also about the evidence you have to work with. Right.
That's because a big part.
If you don't have enough evidence that's in your favor or lack thereof, you need to be realistic about your situation. People come to me, you know, sometimes they'll say, Santana, should I take the deal? Should I not take the deal? First thing I tell them is I said, listen, I know you want me to make the decision for you, but I can't.
You can't?
I can't make that decision for you. What I can do is I can help navigate you through the
you
evidence they have and that they don't. And then what's more important to you? Do you want to take that? You know, there are people that are innocent. There are people that are guilty, and then there are people in the middle.
Yeah, you know what you did.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like
you want to roll the dice. You want to play CeeLo in your life.
And I appreciate you said that, right? Because there's some clients who they know what they did, but they want to act innocent, and then be mad at the attorney.
It's like 75%.
It's like, come on, you know. But a lot of my clients, they will say, Santana, look, I know what I did, man. This is male or female, and they'll say, listen, I know what I did, but I'm gonna take my chances and go to trial, or I know what I did. Just try to get me the best deal possible. I could respect that.
Yeah,
I could respect that. You know.
So I tell you. You gonna say something? I'm gonna tell you a funny story about. The more I'm on this pod, like more and more people know about my life, and because I don't know what it was, I was always intrigued with law for whatever reason. But once I got incarcerated, like that was like to me like that was my calling. Like hit the law library. You're gonna be parked for a couple of years. Law's your thing. Now go ahead, prove it. You know what I'm saying? But before I got incarcerated, right, I was a juror on a trial. I was a juror on a murder trial. Shit was real. So now I got to really see. And the way I got on that jury panel, I lied. Because you know how this goes. Or have you ever been arrested? Raise your hand. You know, and if you don't want to be on a trial, you raise your hand and they just throw you out. All right, go home. Have a nice day. So once I seen people raising their hand in the courtroom, oh, do you have people in law enforcement? Are you there? I said, I'm not raising my hand no more. I wanted them to pick me.
Right.
long story short, I got picked. You know what I'm saying? And I sat on the, I got picked as a juror. So I'm like, oh, this is real. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're like, oh, you're gonna hear about guns. It's a murder case. It's a homicide. You're gonna hear this. If anything, again, they start. If anything, these things bother you, just raise your hand. Well, I kept my hand down. Before you know, they picked my thing, shit in the juror box. I got the voir dire. They started asking me questions. I'm fronting. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, do you dislike cops? I'm like, nah, cops is cool, but if you break the law, you gotta pay the price.
Right.
They're doing a job. It is what it is. They don't bother everybody. Like if you did something illegal, if somebody stabbed my mother out, yeah, I want them to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I played this game. They're like, all right, yeah, he's cool. You know, long story short, now I got picked for this murder case. And I sat on the jury for 2 weeks, and we going back and forth and this and this and this and that. Mind you, I'm the only hood dude on the jury. Everybody else they white, they not from the projects, they just not from the hood, bro. And this is a whole hood case, a whole hood story. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna drag the story out. I'm trying to just prove a point. So now, when I caught a case, and they came to me, I had an A1 attorney, bro. Like he came highly recommended. I never been in the drug game, but all my peoples that was in the drug game, they all walked. They was filthy. Like he was a beast. So now, my case was a firearm charge. You know what I'm saying? But because I was a jury before, I didn't tell him none of this. And he told me straight up, yo, take the offer. I said, I'm not taking nothing. But he didn't know what I had planned in my mind. He goes, I'm telling you right now, this is New York, this is Manhattan. You got caught with it. I don't even have, like, the hearing. We already lost the hearing. They're not going to suppress it. We going all the way. And the defense is going to be difficult. Like, they got you. And I said, all right, well, you got paid, right? Do your job. But he didn't know what I had plans. You know what I'm saying? So he goes, all right, I give you my advice. We're going to go back in front of the judge. And on the record, you have to say that you're willing to go to trial after I advise you not to go to trial. I said, all right, cool. Let's do it. He goes, you know, you're facing a minimum of 7. Minimum. I said, all right, let's do it. Come on, let's go. And he's looking at me like I'm nuts. He's like, bro, like, what are you? I'm not telling him shit. So, they record the case. The judge calls my name. Spoke to the attorney. He said that the offer, you don't want the offer. You're ready to go to trial when we come back from lunch. I said, yeah, I live 10 minutes from here. I go home, I put my suit on, I come back, we can start picking them.
What was the offer?
3.5. 3.5. And, if we go to trial, the minimum was 7.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I go, all right, cool. The minute I said that, that was it. The minimum was 3.5 straight up. Right. They wasn't playing with me. They called me outright. There was no way out of it. So they started, my lawyer and the DA start talking. So my plan was, I skipped this whole part, my bad. My plan was to pay off 1 or 2 of the jurors. Because, I was, but listen, law's dirty.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Of course.
So I'm playing the game that everybody else plays.
Yeah.
The judge, the prosecutor, they all in cahoots with each other. So now I'm learning this shit. I see it because I was a juror. So I know where all the jurors go to eat because, we right here downtown. So there's not too many spots. Money talks, bro.
It does.
Straight up.
Listen, in a lot of my cases, all of a sudden, not because of me, but because of defendants, witnesses.
Disappeared. So I was on that type of time. Money talks. I said, I know what I'm gonna do. I got a few bands. I'm gonna boom, boom, boom. I'm gonna pick the whole one that got picked out the jury. Yo, hold this. Sit. You already know what you got to do, bro. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't tell none of this to my attorney, of course. This is the plan in my mind. So because I had this plan in my mind about what I was going to do, because this is my life on the line, while my attorney, he's telling me to take the cop out. When I said I was ready to go to trial, bro, my attorney spoke with the DA. In 2 minutes, they came up with probation. That was never on the table, bro. Ever on the table. I said, let me get that. Right now. Yeah. Sign that shit right there. But you see what I'm saying? If I never did what I did and seen how this system really works, I would have took the offer, bro.
And that's what usually happens.
It happens all the time. But because I was so intrigued with law and I was self-taught and I seen the ins and outs of this shit and how it really works, he didn't even have a defense for me.
But you know what was even more disgusting about that? The prosecutor. They were ready to give you multiple years, right? When they knew they could have given you probation from the beginning.
From the
Exactly.
gate.
But
From the gate. They was waiting to see your move.
Yeah, my thing is, well, what changed? Nothing changed. The facts of the case are still the same. Maybe your so-called complaining or whatever evidence you thought you had fell apart. But why were you ready to give this man all these years? And all of a sudden, in 2 minutes, like you said, you're willing to give him probation.
It was nuts, bro.
Yeah, that's
Jay.
part of what I didn't like when I was a prosecutor.
Jay, let me tell you
Didn't
something.
sit right with me.
It's something he left out, right? So when he was a juror, right? I'm gonna try to make this real quick. He was in a case. It was a murder case, right? So mind you, he just finished telling you he's the only hood dude that was on that panel. They presented the case. Prosecutors, everybody did their job, whatever. He said, "Yo, make it make sense." When they was all about the deliberating, he's like, "Yo, make it make sense. Why is this X, Y, and Z?" Everybody was ready to convict. He's the only one sitting there like, "Make it make sense." What did the police bring up to make us say right now that he's guilty? Mind you, he was guilty as a motherfucker. You understand what I'm saying? I say that to say this. I just finished receiving a jury duty letter. I always throw them shits frisbee. Ever since he said that, he always he planted a seed in my brain that I could be a person that could probably send whether the person is guilty or he's innocent. Because this is the problem, right? We don't go to the juries, right? And we don't get. My peers aren't the ones that's fucking fight. Well, not even fighting for my life, but I'm not. They said judge by your peers. I don't got 12 peers.
Right.
I don't even got one peer. You understand what I'm saying? So if you could be that one person to make a difference in that person's life, regardless whether they fucking guilty or not guilty, you should go. Because at the end of the day, ever since, am I lying?
Facts.
I screenshot him. I said, yo, look what I got. He started laughing. I said, nigga, it's on.
Yeah. I tell people this all the time. I tell them, listen, you can't complain when your people are on trial and we look over the jury selection, the pool of jurors that I can potentially choose, and many of them are not an accurate representation of who you are or where you came
Or identify who you are.
Because it makes a difference. So there's so many times, so many things go on in trial that I understand because before I'm an attorney, I'm a man, born and raised in the Bronx, New York. So there's certain dynamics I understand that maybe this juror is not going to understand. But maybe someone who's from the same streets is going to understand certain dynamics that may establish a person's innocence. And I tell people, I say, you don't understand how powerful you can be.
Let me hit you with some other shit. He had 2 hung juries. Tell him what one of the ladies that was a part of the jury told you.
So I didn't get. I mean, he finished up the part. I just wanted to get into my part about my strategy in my mind. But what he's talking about is that, I obviously after the case, we could speak to the jurors.
Right.
And one of the jurors, she was a Latina. She was a teacher. You know what I'm saying? A Spanish teacher. And I'm not gonna front because I kept locking eyes with her, and I saw her tearing. I'm like, oh, she's gonna smoke me. She feels bad for me. You know what I'm saying? Because, I locked in with my peers. You know what I'm saying? I had two Spanish jurors, an older lady and a younger lady. Anyway, long story short, after the trial was hung, I'm outside. I didn't get locked up. I'm just got my freedom. I'm free. She comes up to me, right? And she just gives me a big hug, and she's crying. And I'm bugging because I don't know this lady from a hole in the wall, but for 2 weeks, I paused her life, and she had to listen to my case and my story. And she was like, you reminded me of my nephew. You your whole mannerisms, your aura. You were from the projects on the Lower East Side. You got a thing for the girls. You had a nice car with the loud music, with the jewelry. That's my nephew. My nephew is you. And the cops mess with him all the time. There was no way I was going to fight because she knew, like, you know what I'm saying? When you're born and raised, it's regular shit to us.
Yeah.
Cops go throw you on the wall, frisk you, search you. They come up with some okey doke shit. But she goes, yeah, this is why I couldn't find you guilty. Like, you didn't even do nothing. There's no victims in the case. No crime was committed. You know, they alleged to find a firearm. Cool, they got a firearm off the streets, but there's no victims in this case.
Right.
You were just chilling doing you. It was hate. The cops were just hating on you. And I said, thank you. And she just ran away, bro.
Jury of your peers.
Yeah.
But she was one of my peers.
Right.
And then, when I really found out the real 411, they was like, yeah, the two jurors that we picked hung the jury.
Yeah.
And my lawyer was always like that. He was like, yo, as long as I get one, forget about, I just need one, bro.
Right. And people don't understand. So some potential clients may think, well, Santana, what's the problem? Just select all people of color. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. You
got
if
challenges.
If the prosecutor starts to see...
First of all, they got to be there first.
Yeah, right. They got to be there first.
Exactly.
And even if they are, if the prosecution sees I'm choosing just Latino or
smoke
black,
them off.
they're going to
Smoke
raise
them off.
what's called a Batson challenge, and they're going to
Get
say,
outta
Judge,
here.
Santana's choosing only people of color.
Yeah.
It's a problem. So, like you said, you have to be there first.
And you gotta
Give
hope
me
that
an opportunity.
And you
I mean,
gotta hope
again-
that alternate is fucking, you know what I'm saying?
Look, in the ASAP Rocky trial, there's none. And this is LA. It's like New York. It's LA, bro. And they're complaining. No, the complaint is they not showing up. So you got to work with what you have.
Right.
You got a jury pool of 100 people, and none of them are fucking black or Hispanic. Those are the ones that responded to that notice. There's nothing you can do about that, bro.
Be mad about it.
There's nothing you could do about that. You got to deal with you got to work with what you have.
Man, I'm so glad you guys raised this because people don't talk about it. People don't. Sometimes our own people are quick to complain.
Yeah, and
Slow to make
it
the
only
change,
and
man.
it hits. It resonates when it happens to someone that you know.
Yes.
But this has been happening for years and years and years.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like when I was going through my trial, my family didn't know nothing about it. They knew about the second trial because I did a dolo. My sister was like, yo, you bugging. Like, all right, the first one we did, but God forbid if something happens to you, mom's finds out, and the next time she got to see who's up north, she's never going to speak to me. Like, that's going to be a whole, you know what I'm saying? That's going to be a whole nother situation. You know what I'm saying? So, like, to me, like, I saw that movie play out. So I'm like, what could happen? Like, I already saw it play out. That was the scariest part.
Right.
I didn't know, again, they talking about my life. I don't know what's going on. I don't know about this and objection and all of this shit that's going on. You know what I'm saying? So, like, once I had the first hung jury, I'm like, oh, I'm good. I went back on tour, went back on the road, living my life. My attorney called me 6 months later, yo, bro, we got to shake him. I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, yeah, but you know me, it's like,
Right.
some people hate lawyers. Like, he wants another bag. And I'm like, yo, homie, now you bugging. Like, he goes, no, you had a hung jury, bro. They could keep on prosecuting you until there's a verdict.
Acquittal.
They could just keep going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Jay, I want to ask you this, right? It's almost a two-part to the last question I asked you. Has there ever been a moment you in your profession where you just was like, man, fuck this shit, man. I'm going to just go act, man. I don't want to do this shit no more. Like, I'm tired of all the bullshit, this, that, and the third. Has there ever come a point in time where you looked yourself in the mirror and had that?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. You brought up the acting. So when I made the decision to go on to law school, like I said, the passion never left me, then became a prosecutor. When I became a prosecutor, I told myself, there has to be a way I can figure out how to start acting. So believe it or not, I used to take auditions. I used to go from Brooklyn, get on a train quickly, and head to Manhattan, and go on a quick audition. And that would take maybe an hour. And I remember I would get back from the audition, and people would say, where were you? Where were you? And maybe I was a few minutes late to court, but I had to figure out a way to start pursuing my passion. And so that's what I did. I started taking on extra roles, background stuff, getting paid maybe $50, something like that. And that's how I started little by little, right? Until the first speaking role came, and then I just kept doing more and more, landing some independent stuff. And before you knew it, I became a legitimate unionized actor. So today I'm part of the SAG-AFTRA union. And I've done, everything from plays. I'm talking like Shakespeare, different types of plays, to independent movies, some small speaking roles on some things. And that's still a huge passion of mine. But I have not been pursuing it lately because I've been so focused on building a practice. I have other passions. I write music.
Okay.
There's more to life than just your profession. And it's okay to really be deep into your profession and what you do and really honing in on those skills. But the older I get, the more experienced I become. But through that, the idea is that we also gain wisdom. And along with that wisdom comes more certainty, and you feel more capable of taking on more challenges and risks, because you know that at some point, life is over, right? Life is over, so you got to find that balance. So yeah, man, sometimes I've looked myself, in the mirror, and I say, Jay, is this what you want to continue doing for the rest of your life? There have been periods when I've even said to myself, okay, if I don't do this, what would I do? What would I do? This is my livelihood, right? And fortunately, thank you to my clients, it continues to grow. But I have this conversation oftentimes with some of my colleagues, and a lot of them are trapped because they have no other passions.
No outlets.
Yeah, man, no outlets. They don't know what else to do.
Shit consumes them.
Yeah, it consumes them. I have a vested interest in my practice and the outcome of cases for my client, but that's not my life, man. That's not like, I'm a father, I'm a husband. You know what I mean? I get up, I meditate, I hit the gym, I play golf. There's different things I really enjoy doing, and I think the older we get, we got to realize we got to stay balanced because it's all over soon.
Facts.
Like, you talk about life expectancy. A lot of us are in our late 40s, approaching that 50 mark. Some of us are in the 50s already. At one point in life, we were going like this.
Stress too.
Yeah, man, and it's over. It's over at some point. So, but I definitely, question what the next step is going to be. And I think it's okay to do that. I think it's okay to do that because you need to plan. You got to have massive action plans no matter what. So, right now, I'm on the next, I typically think out maybe what's my 3 to 5 year plan. You know what I mean? While trying to find that balance and still going all out for what I'm doing today. Yeah.
All right, so this is you in the Duce Lounge right now.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So obviously, Duce is a cognac.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We don't condone no drinking and driving here. Like, you have to drink responsibly.
Yeah.
But this is New York City. There's a lot of clubs. There's a lot of nightlife. There's studios. Can you give people advice on this whole DWI drinking? And I'm going somewhere with this because one of my homeboys scored a case, and he beat it. And the way he beat it was because when the officers approached him, they pulled out the little portable breathalyzer, and he didn't take it. He didn't have to take it because that's not admissible in court. And a lot of people don't know that. That portable one is not admissible in court. It's the one that they do in the precinct.
Right.
So can you elaborate on that?
So, interesting question, because people ask me all the time, Santana, should I blow into the breathalyzer machine or not?
Never.
And
but go ahead.
That's your safest route, and I'll explain why. But there's different levels, right? There's misdemeanors and felony DWI. So if you've had DWIs before, you're facing a whole different set of consequences. But just to focus in on your question, you said never, right? And here's why. If you do blow, now they definitively know what your BAC level, blood alcohol content level, is at. So if you're above a .08 in New York State, you're legally intoxicated or illegally, depending on how you look at it, right? But if they know that because you blew, I can't do anything with that number unless I'm contesting the validity of the machine in and of itself. So sometimes machines are defective, they break down. Maybe that's going to be one way I could prove there was a problem, and so that's not a reliable source. But typically, they're functioning very well. So if you blew, I can't do anything with that number. If you don't blow, now that allows me to argue really anything.
Yeah.
Because
But it never helps you. It's not there to help you at all.
It's not there. It's not there to help you. Well, in one sense, if you refuse to blow, your license will automatically be suspended by DMV, as long as by way of a DMV hearing, the administrative law judge is able to establish, upon questioning the officer, hey, listen, did you properly advise the person that in the event they refuse to blow, their license will be suspended? If the person says, I'm still refusing to blow, then your license is going to be suspended, definitely, by DMV, irrespective as to whether or not you're found 100% innocent. You can get off on the criminal case and still be facing a suspension through DMV. But just to circle back, if you don't blow, now I can really argue anything, because what's left now is what they call indicia of reliability. And what that is the officer now may have argued, well, he or she had slurred speech, bloodshot eyes, I smelled alcohol, things of that nature. That's indicia of reliability. Just a legal way of saying there's other ways they can potentially prove your guilt. But if I can prove you passed, touch the nose, walk the line, do all this tests, if I can prove, which I've done before, that you passed the majority of it, maybe a jury is going to think, this person really wasn't intoxicated. We have no BAC number to go by. Maybe the person really wasn't intoxicated. Now you're closer to being found not guilty of something. And for some people, maybe that is the case, because people have a different tolerance for alcohol, right? But yeah, you hit it on the nose.
A lot of people, they don't even know they could refuse that. Like, they just get scared. Oh, yeah, my license will get suspended. Bro, that's right. Like, and then they want to offer you programs, and this is like, it's just a whole. So now let's take it a step further, because now in New York State, weed just became legal in New York State.
Yeah.
So now people think they could just drive around smoking, blowing it down. And that's a whole nother gray area right now.
Let me tell you.
Because hold on, before, I know you're saying no, but with alcohol, after a certain amount of hours, they could test, like you said, your BAC. Sometimes they take blood. But with weed, you could have smoked a month ago. Right. So how did they know you was driving high versus you just smoked 2 weeks ago? Like, what's the situation with that gray area?
So I had a trial, a very high profile trial.
That's crazy.
Right on those exact topics. It was a vehicular homicide trial, and my client was driving a car.
So vehicular homicide means somebody died.
Right. Someone died. So my client was the driver. His girlfriend was the passenger. They were driving. Long story short, he got into a car accident. She died. Everything was good at the beginning. Good in the sense that there were no charges. He was at in the hospital. They took his blood. When they got the results back from the blood tests, they learned he had marijuana in his system. Now, some people say, well,
what's the THC level?
Right. So some people say, well, wait a minute. How can they know exactly when he did it and whether or not the marijuana in his system actually caused the accident? Here's the thing. By New York State law, because unlike alcohol, which can definitively test how intoxicated you are or not, the science has not caught up when you're dealing with marijuana.
Wow.
So there's no test. Hey, blow into this. Let me see how high you are. There's no test. They can check you by blood. And so now what they do, and this is what happened in this trial. My guy was charged with vehicular homicide, young guy, never been arrested before, a good guy. But they said, no, you were impaired by marijuana and THC. And that's the law in New York State. If they detect any level of marijuana in your system, specifically THC,
that's crazy,
they can charge you with driving while your ability is impaired. And if there's something that happens that's terrible, like a death, they can add or enhance that to a vehicular homicide. So that's what the prosecution did in that case. They brought in expert after expert. I was cross-examining experts forever, just focusing in on THC. We brought in our experts. I brought in an accident reconstruction expert. Brought in everything I could possibly bring. That trial went on forever and ever. And he was found not guilty of the vehicular homicide. Now, that was a battle. But I'm glad you brought it up because there are 100% people out there driving thinking, oh, I'm good now. I'm good. Life is good. I can smoke, do whatever I want. I tell people, man, you're in for a rude awakening, especially if you're driving. In particular, okay, marijuana is legal, right, to a certain extent. But I've literally, with my own eyes, I've seen and witnessed people trying to create a situation that doesn't even exist, walking or driving by officers, trying to antagonize them. You know, it's like you're just asking for trouble. You're asking for trouble. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And if you do, you should be prepared to deal with the consequences that come after that.
Facts.
But I'm glad you raised that because that's not the case. People need to really be aware of the potential consequences if you're doing something like smoking and then you get in a car and you drive.
Yeah, see, I'm glad you said that because you're the lawyer. I'm not. But I tell people all the time, nah, butt is legal. You could, no, bro. It's like alcohol is legal too. You can't drink. Like, it's the same thing. You can't do it, bro.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
And the fact that you said there's no test for like how long it's been in your system, it's just there.
They can't test the levels.
They didn't know like when it, you know what I'm saying?
Right. You know, now your THC levels, you know, just for purposes of talking about the relevancy with respect to when an expert comes in and testifies at trial, your levels you will score higher if you, let's say, just smoked versus if you smoked 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a month ago.
Oh, so they could use that.
Yeah.
Hold on, so now let me ask you this. Like you said, I think it was your client that was in the hospital?
Right.
So do they need a warrant to take your blood?
So they took his, I think they actually took, I'm trying to think back. I think they took his blood while he was sleeping.
Oh, so he didn't even know
He didn't even know. If I'm not mistaken, he was sleeping.
But is that
Yeah, it
legit?
was 100% legit. Well, first of all, it's part of the procedure, the medical procedure.
Got it.
So typically the doctors
So they got to do that on normal, but then they're not telling them. They sending that to the lab to see if they got whatever else is in that blood.
And most people aren't thinking that.
Nah, hell no.
You're not driving thinking you're going to get into an accident and kill someone.
Yeah.
But then they hit you all of a sudden with a vehicular homicide charge.
Wow.
People just
murder
don't know.
charge over.
Yeah. People don't know. It's a dangerous situation. So just like they say, drink responsibly, smoke responsibly.
Yeah, because, you know, the smoking thing is brand new in New York. And like you said, people walking around blowing smokes in cops' faces.
Right.
I drive all the time. People in the car. And I'm like, yo, y'all bugging, bro.
Of course. Or how about when you're driving on the highway, on the road, and you could smell the weed coming from the car in front of you. Facts. So if you're a police officer and you're smelling that, what do you think is going to happen? Yeah. 9 times out of 10 now, you've just given that officer a reason.
And then they couldn't.
What, right? Yeah. To maybe pull up alongside you, look to see if there's a reason to pull you over.
And for all these years, they've been using that from day one.
Right.
For 30, 40, 50 years. Oh, I smell marijuana.
Right.
Now that they can't use it anymore, but now you're giving it to them.
Now you giving it to them, facts.
Do that in the crib, bro. You ain't got to be driving around like that, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And I get it. Most people are saying to themselves, listen, if I decide to smoke weed in my crib, you're telling me I now can't get in my car and drive? That's my right? What I'm saying is you can do that. I'm just saying understand the potential consequences.
And a lot of people don't know, like, vehicles are like homes.
Yeah.
They just can't go in there and start searching your vehicle and none of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and again, I learned this through going through my life situation.
Right.
Like, they wasn't supposed to go in there and search the way they did. You know what I'm saying? They went, and, you know, I sent you my case. Like, they went and had a legitimate search and turned it illegal.
Right.
The cops said on the stand he was searching for narcotics. It wasn't a narcotic car stop. Car was parked at a hydrant. What does a hydrant have to do with you searching my car for narcotics?
Right. Give me a summons.
Thank you.
Keep it moving.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And my shit went all the way to the Supreme Court, and one of the judges said, this is not, because they said they couldn't take the car in a pound because it wasn't factory. And you know what the judge said? How come you didn't take the rims off? The rims are not factory.
The inventory search.
The inventory search. How come you didn't take the rims off? The rims didn't come with that Lexus.
Right.
So are you sure you want to run with that defense? You know what I'm saying? But again, the way the law is, bro, is you got to cheat it, man. You got to know the ins and outs. You got to cheat it, and if you don't know, you get trapped off.
And from day one, you need to be aware. You got to have the right lawyer because, as they say, prosecutors can indict a ham sandwich.
Yes.
They don't need to go in with every single shred of evidence because they're not looking for a guilty verdict. They're just looking to convince a grand jury.
It's numbers,
and
bro.
that's it.
Grand jury could be this right here.
Absolutely. Like with the ASAP case.
Look at that.
You know?
I watch that case every day, and I'm watching this circus going on in this court, and I'm like, bro, like, you know, I don't want to get too much into it, but, bro, your wife, I mean, not your wife, but your girl's Rihanna, bro. What are you doing running around with guns? Your ex-manager.
Right.
Like, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah,
like, in L.A. on Hollywood Boulevard?
You know what's interesting, though?
And then now he wants to say the gun is fake. It's a stuff. Come on, bro. Like,
yeah, you know what's interesting? I know there's a couple of main arguments. One is that it was a prop gun, right? The other thing
that
is
they just came with like a day before trial.
Right.
Like out of left field.
Right. So it was a prop gun. I think the other thing he's saying, because apparently there's some footage of him not only in possession of a firearm, but actually
shooting,
discharging the firearm.
Yep.
So now I'm thinking, well, does a prop gun actually discharge something?
It does, yeah.
Right? But I'm talking in comparison to a bullet.
Same exact.
But so now
no projectile comes out.
No projectile, right. So now I forget the gentleman's name, the person complaining, the complainant, who's actually saying he shot him, his boy.
His boy,
yeah. Supposedly, I think he went back to the scene
to
recover shell casings. First of all,
so
that's a little bit
He's doing too much. He's doing too much.
I've never seen that.
The fact that they even allowed that even into the courtroom
I've never in my life, and I've been an attorney for 25 years now.
But he didn't have to do that. And this is what I'm saying. He's doing too much because it's on video, and one camera had the audio where you hear the two shots go off. Right. But bro, you went back to the scene an hour later and found 2 shell casings.
And from my understanding, I could be wrong, but my understanding is that none of ASAP's DNA or fingerprints are on the shell casings.
But they never are.
They never are.
It's like hitting the lottery, bro, to get off.
But that's an argument the defense is going to make.
Yeah.
I use it every time, and it wins every
of
single
course,
time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's an argument they're going to make. And I know if I'm a juror, I'm saying to myself, wait a minute. Since when does a person who claims he was just shot actually go back to the scene to recover shell casings?
Yeah.
Come on, son.
That sounds
it's wild, yo, and it was 2 of them. The way but again, he's doing too much. You know, he got the snitch award, the rat award, but this is what happens when you do too much, bro. Yeah. But they both dumb.
Right.
Both of them.
And supposedly, I think they have text messages, allegedly, where there's an exchange of communication and his boy is considering like taking money or something like that.
It was. Listen, he tried to sue him civilly, and what happened was when he called his attorney told him, "I'm not taking this case unless you go to the precinct and report it." So his civil attorney went with him to the precinct. He reported it after he tried to tell ASAP's and them team like, "Yo, I got the nigga. You know, he's whatever." Allegedly, like he scraped his knuckles, and that was from when the hammer went off and they got grazed.
Right.
Whatever. He's trying to get the bag. We all know he's trying to get the bag.
Right.
But at the end of the day, he's trying to get the bag. But then this dude over here, bro, you got caught on camera with the hammer. Yeah. You want to shut him up because he's going all the way with it. Don't play with this man.
Should have took the plea, man.
But then look at the plea. The plea was 3 months.
Should have took the plea.
But then he didn't want to lose endorsements. He didn't want to lose all of these things that he has on the line. And then he felt like he was getting extorted. So ego's on the line. Then you get convicted. You lose everything.
About Cali, man.
So you get convicted.
You lose everything. Yeah.
No.
And then now he's facing 24.
Cali don't play, man.
Now that was a person. If he was my client, I'd be telling him, listen, you really need to consider taking this.
That's
deal.
a fact.
You're letting your ego get in the way.
Word.
You need to really
got
consider
2
taking
kids.
this deal.
And then the dude that's on the stand lying his we know that because he's so thirsty. But bro, forget about homeboy for a minute.
Right.
You're on surveillance on 4 different cameras, bro. They got you.
Right.
They got the thing and they got you. They
Just
got
that
you
alone.
straight up. And he got a pistol license.
Right.
So like that's another it's not felony possession of a firearm because he's licensed to carry.
Yeah. You know what the other thing is? A lot of people think they're gonna get off because they weren't found in physical possession of it. And I tell people it doesn't matter.
See?
It doesn't matter.
Know,
they don't
bro.
have to find you with the gun. You know, if you go up to someone and you point the gun at someone and you shoot them, kill them, and there's a witness that says, I saw it happen. You think you're getting off just because they couldn't find the actual gun?
Yeah.
That doesn't even make any sense. But sometimes people just, they want to take a chance. Yeah. And they think there's, some miracle is going to happen. Statistically, it doesn't.
And it's crazy because he's facing, let's just say, because his ego, he didn't want to lose none of his endorsements and all of this. Bro, you about to do 24 years for a starter pistol? 24 years for a prop gun?
And your wife is a billionaire.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, you like they say you play stupid games, bro. You win stupid prizes.
Yeah, it's true.
You're in L.A. on Hollywood Boulevard with mad cameras everywhere. You think you're gonna get away with this?
Yep, it's true. It's true, man. You hit it on the head.
It's crazy, bro. Yeah. So what? Give the viewers, some advice. I mean, I don't want to get into the politics of ICE and all of this that's going on, but it's a real thing with Latinos that's happening. Yeah. Like, what's some advice that you could give citizens that's dealing with this madness that's going on in America right now?
So first, let me just say this: I don't specialize in immigration, but I do understand, obviously, what people are facing. The first thing is that if you happen to be stopped by law enforcement, whether it's ICE or whoever it may be, exercise your right to remain silent. That's the first thing. Now, many of these individuals, they're not aware of what the laws are, right? And this is not only a political thing, this is an emotional thing for many individuals. Look, a lot of my clients are not here legally, but we represent them, and nonetheless, and we give them the same 200-300% we give all of our other clients. So this is a very difficult thing. But my general advice would be as follows. If you believe you and your family are potentially facing deportation or even some sort of consequences, whatever they may be, you have to keep in mind that knock may come one day. You may get a card slid under your door or something like that. You should be prepared. And so what should you do? I highly recommend you have an immigration attorney on deck. I'm happy to refer any of your viewers to an immigration attorney. You should have that person on speed dial. You should also make preparations to whatever extent you deem appropriate, but also have discussions, open and honest discussions with your children, for example. I'm hearing children are being picked up from schools, right? If in fact that is the case, and you believe you may be the kind of family that may be facing that situation, you should be giving your children a heads up, right? As opposed to them just being blindsided by this. It's a difficult thing, and I'm not going to get political. I know people have the different opinions on immigration policies. It is something that we need to address. We just need to do it in the most graceful way possible. I'll say that. We just have to be graceful with the approach here. And I mean, I'm easy to find. I'm happy to connect people with the right attorneys, no matter what type of attorney it is, if it's something that I don't do.
So yeah. what's the we about to wrap up. What's the majority of your cases now, a civil or criminal? Or it's like 50-50?
I feel like it's at the point where it's probably 50-50. I really do, because the criminal and civil, they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Someone gets arrested, in many instances their rights are violated, and boom, now you have a civil case. So I really feel like it's at the point where it's 50-50. I really do. And I give, it may be 50-50, but I'm giving 100% to each portion.
Absolutely.
If you understand what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because, in case some viewers out there saying, well, I don't know, I need a criminal attorney, but is he focused on criminal or is he focused on civil? No, it goes hand in hand, and the majority of times I'm busy doing my thing in Supreme Court, criminal, whatever it is. The civil cases, they don't go to trial.
Settle out?
They usually settle out. A lot of adjournment after adjournment, while I'm focusing on, getting busy handling the criminal stuff.
Can you explain to the viewers the difference between, like, civil and criminal? Like, in a nutshell, like, criminal, you got to pay up front. Like, you committed a crime.
Right.
Civil, you got to hope you get the bag.
Right.
And you're basically working for free, hoping that you get the result you want. Because if you don't get the result you want.
Right. I appreciate that question, man. So like you said, criminal cases, I'm paid up front. I typically charge a flat fee. The bigger the case, the higher the fee. whether it's state or federal. I go out of state a lot. I'm hired out of state, big cases as well. I enjoy that. It's a nice break in the routine. And a lot of times people don't want to be represented by local counsel because they feel like they're too in bed, so to speak.
Buddy shit.
You know what I mean? So they'll bring me, and I just do what I have to do. But yeah, so I'm paid up front for criminal cases. On the civil side of things, I work off of a contingency fee. So essentially that means you come in, we sign you up if it's a viable case, and then everything that happens after that is on me. All of the resources, experts that have to be hired, things of that nature, we pay for, my firm.
And that's all up front.
No,
you come out of pocket with that.
I literally come out of pocket for it. So, sometimes people, they don't understand, well, why can't you take my case? Well, I have to assess the viability of your case.
I ain't finna get this money back.
I only get paid if you get paid.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
You only getting $2, bro.
I mean,
I can't do nothing with that.
I've had people tell me, well, can't you just take my case? It's just a matter of principle. Yeah, the money doesn't mean anything to me. Well, it means something to me.
Fuck?
I have a family to feed and bills to pay just like everyone else. And practice
insane.
to run, paralegals to pay. So,
people are delusional.
It's not all about the money, but the money is a factor.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it for free.
And that's why you're doing it, to get the bag. So.
Yeah, to get you more money, which means, of course, realistically, I get more money.
Bag, yeah.
That's just the way it goes. And, so that's the difference. And there are some times when we take a case initially, and maybe the client is not completely honest with me at the beginning. Like going back to maybe if it's a case involving NYPD, and we're waiting on receiving the body cam, right? Now, in New York City, you have 90 days to file a notice of claim against any city municipality, NYPD, corrections, sanitation. You have 90 days. If you don't file your notice of claim within 90 days, you can't bring suit on that level, right? So what does that mean? We come to you and someone interviews you, we're expecting you to be honest about the facts and circumstances, the totality of circumstances surrounding your case. Why? Because now I'm taking a chance and believing that what you're telling me is the truth without having yet received all of the evidence. So what happens? Sometimes after we sign you up and I start pushing the case, all of a sudden the evidence starts to pour in. Discovery.
Happened 2 years ago.
And
Can't do nothing.
And body cam and all this stuff. And now I realize you weren't even telling me the truth. Guess what? I'm dropping your case. But it's a pain in the neck because now I need to file an order to show cause, requesting that I be allowed to be released from the case. And sometimes judges don't want to do that. So, yeah, I'm pissed off at that point because now I just wasted resources on you. So that can be a little bit frustrating. But for the most part, we're very good at really judging on the viability of a case. Our clients understand we're here to help, so don't lie to us. And if you do, we're dropping you. So,
Makes sense.
It is what it
Makes sense. Get the people how they can reach you.
I appreciate it. So on pretty much all social media platform at Santana Law Firm. The office number is 212-448-0055. You can even reach me directly via email, jsantanalawfirm@gmail.com. Pretty easy, and the website is www.santanalawpartners.com.
And that's it, man. I appreciate you coming to the Duce
appreciate
Lounge.
you guys having me, man.
You know what I'm saying? We got all types of subjects and topics over here, but the streets needed to hear this because we got a lot of the culture watching us. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm here for the streets.
You the attorney. I'm the hood attorney. You know what I'm saying? But it's what you say goes. You know what I mean?
Appreciate it, man. All love, brothers. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Yes, that was.